Hi guys, it's Nick here from Unique Life Design. This morning I decided to make a video to show you what we did with our garden after the heavy losses we suffered after the horrible winter. So for those that haven't seen any of our previous videos, let me tell you a few things to give you the layout. It was a very bad winter. The worst we've ever had since we started doing tropical gardening, and we suffered some significant losses. Probably we lost about 15 different species of palms, eucalyptus, daisylirions. So it's been quite painful. I will tell you the names as I'm going along, but it's not been easy, and we have another maybe bigger number than 15 that are in recovery. We are still hoping they will recover, but the sad truth is that probably some of them won't. So yeah, it's been like that. But what we are trying to do is to show you what we've done afterwards. We've done quite a lot actually, but what we did was we didn't buy any new tropical plants. No palms, no eucalyptus, no daisylirion. That's probably excluding a few climbers that my wife decided to get, but they're very small one and not noticeable at the moment. So, but they were not architectural major plants that you can see easily. So yeah, we just wanted to show you how we kind of rearranged the garden, how we covered the losses and made everything look nice without using any plants that we bought since we lost the ones that we lost. So I will tell you how we did it. Let's start bit by bit. Okay, so here we had Brachia armata, which we lost, and we had Cycas revoluta, the sagu palm, which suffered quite badly, lost all its leaves, which is not unexpected, but unfortunately there was some rot in the trunk as well. So I moved it towards the back where the soil is drier, and it is in recovery now. I do believe, or I do hope it will recover. I've seen it happen before. It's not looking too bad, so maybe it will like its new place and it will start growing nicely there. But here we decided to move this specimen, Nulina nelsoni. It was quite cramped where it was. The good thing is that we had quite a few plants that were close to each other because we didn't have the space to put them, so we did the best we could initially. So now we had a chance to move few of them and use them and actually be able to see them in their whole beauty. So yeah, this look rather nice. Next to it we moved the little Trachycarpus princeps. We are hoping both of them will look bluer in time, kind of replacing the blue Brachia armata that was here. So yeah, that's one thing. You may remember our favorite here, Parajubea turali, that we unfortunately lost. It was quite a big specimen. So from the side garden we moved the small Butia catarinensis that was under the cover of the leaves of the tree fern and the special microclimate in the side garden. Survived without damage. So yeah, we moved it here and it seems to be quite like it. So of course at the beginning when you look and remember the missing plants, it's not that easy, but in time you kind of start to appreciate the new look too. The new plants start growing and it's quite nice. Also you can see that The banana that was here has sprouted a couple of new pups. Of course, it died down to the ground, but the good news is that it's beginning to grow again. So I don't believe this has happened pretty much everywhere we had bananas, and I don't believe that this year or maybe even next we will see the same size bananas that we used to have, but fingers crossed, and hopefully not having very bad winters, they will gain in size. So I'm quite happy about that. One of the things that happened when the weather started warming up very slowly, I must say, is that we had some problems appear on plants that you wouldn't expect, at least we didn't expect, like Chamaerops humilis here. It had damage to quite a few heads, not only this one, but actually the Vulcano here had some damage, you can probably see still. The good news about those more resilient plants like Chamaerops humilis is that it has started to outgrow the damage already. See? So it's nothing major basically. It has grown new leaves already, so we shouldn't be worried about losing them. But I didn't expect even to have this damage at the beginning, so that shows you how bad it was. It is similar here with Brachia edulis. This had quite a bit of damage, actually spear pulled, but it has begun to grow since then, visibly, as you can see. It's beginning to push new leaves from the growing point, which gives me hope that it will do well and it will recover. It's a fast grower too, relatively, for a palm. So looking at that, I'm thinking we won't lose this one. So that's a good news. Yay! None of the Yucca elephantippus that we kind of lost, at least they lost all their leaves, and in many cases the trunks, as you can see here. They don't show any sign of life. They haven't sprouted new growing heads from the trunks or new pups or anything, so we may lose both types, both the standard green Yucca elephantippus and the jewel variety. So neither here nor in the front garden we have sign of life with those, so I'm not sure. It's still at the end of May, so there is plenty of time for it to get better. Sometimes we see new signs of life appearing even in July, so fingers crossed on that one. But a lot of things that I was wondering whether they will make it, like the cannas are beginning to grow again, so that's extremely good news. Let me tell you what happened here. We lost both specimen Butiagrus palms that we had, which, as you can imagine, is very, very painful. For me personally, those two Butiagrus palms, along with the Parajubaea tureli, each one of them very big size, each one of them grown for years after being bought as quite the specimens, is the most painful of the losses. But anyway, what's gone is gone. So what we decided here is to take the pup of the big Yucca rostrata that we've got here. I will show you the mother now. Yep. So we just separated it and we put it in here with a bit of root powder and a bit of preparation of the soil and a lot of sun. Well, it has begun even to, it looks like it, to grow a little bit, which is a good news. So instead of having a big palm here, and they, as you can see, are quite close to each other, we will have this little one, and it will take a lot of time to grow. Similarly, on the other side of this Trachycarpus wagnerianus, we had what we had here. We had Yucca jewel and small phoenix. Actually, you can see the remains of the small phoenix tilprastii. So we decided to move this Siccus panzicuensis, the cold hardy sago with the bluish leaves, and it seems to have enjoyed the move, because straight after we moved it, it started pushing up new leaves, as you can see, I hope. Yep. So yeah, this is both of them, Yucca rostrata and Siccus panzicuensis. They are slow growing, as you can imagine, in comparison, so we will have a kind of a nice symmetry with bigger palms, fan palms, and then having this is two palm likes that are smaller in size and slower growing, so we like the symmetry of that. Okay, let's go to the other side and see what happened here. All our tree ferns began to move, which is great for us. We were wondering whether we may lose or not some of them, because you just never know. Everything looked quite bad at some point. The spring turned out to be really cool and really wet, which didn't help at all with the recovery of the palms. Actually, it was ideal rotting conditions, so a lot more damage appeared than we were hoping for. But yeah, that's good. The tree fern is moving again. This red cordyline hasn't really shown much movement. Let me see at the top here. Nope, nothing much. I'm hoping for a new head to appear at some point, but here is not a very sunny location, so I think it will take some time for it to show us. And none of the other cordylines, neither the pink one nor the yellow one, the turbate azure, have shown any signs of recovery as yet, but I do believe it's a bit early for them. Okay, cow lilies are beginning to move, so that's good. We didn't lose the cow lilies, and that includes even the gigantic variety back there, as you can see. So yeah, that's a great news. We still have those. Here we put, instead of the Trachycarpus marcianus Nepal we lost, and what was here? The princeps. The little Trachycarpus princeps was here. We kind of swapped places and we put the two Trachycarpus hybrids. That's Wagnerianus nanus over there, and we do have Wagnerianus princeps at the back. So yeah, that is great. What's happening now? The hostas. The hostas are doing just great. Fingers crossed they haven't been discovered by the slugs and the snails, so I'm quite happy about that. You will see this one. I will show you quickly. This one here, that is beginning to become quite the monster. I'm not sure of the variety. I've seen it as Empress Wu, or blue mammoth. So I'm not sure which it is, but the leaves are beginning to get huge from what they were, so it's quite nice look. And also this one is doing quite well as well, as you can see. So yeah, the hostas are loving it. What else I need to show you? Yes, another Chimerops humilis that suffered damage. Actually, two heads suffered here. The big one suffered quite badly, and this one at the back, maybe you can see, maybe you don't, towards the back here, has already outgrown the damage and it's pushing up new leaves. I do believe this one will too. But another sign how bad the winter was is that we actually had Chimerops humilis suffering. The same thing here with Trachycarpus other side. It's spear put, but I hope and I believe it will recover, because there are no signs of deterioration since then, and it seems like it's moving a little bit. Still no new leaves appearing, but new growth, but it's definitely looking better than it looked. And so I'm hoping a recovery is happening inside, and yeah, we won't lose it. I will show you some of the palms were so bad that I had to take the drastic action that was suggested to me by Ben Root to cut the trunk and until I reach a level that is not rotting. But I will show you a bit later that. Another unexpected damage here was Tritrinax campestris, one of the heads spear put. The other one seems to be okay, and I'm hoping this one will outgrow the damage too. But yeah, that was a nasty surprise when it happened. So it hasn't really moved too much, but it does seem to be moving, which is a good news considering. Okay, what we have here, we had here Phoenix Canarians and Butia Yatai and what was the last thing? Sabau Resana. The Sabau Resana and Phoenix Canarians, we lost them, totally dead. The Butia Yatai, we decided that it's dead, but when it was suggested to me to cut the trunk, actually I found some live tissue there, so I decided to give it a second chance, and I will show you later next to the hot tub in place of the one of the Butiagrises. I will tell you what's happening with it. But yeah, instead of getting too many plants as close together as they were, we replaced those with, removed the little Jubutia here seedling. I'm not sure if you can see it. Yep, you can, I guess. And a bit further here, similarly small but alive and well, Sabau Lisa. So of course they won't gain in size for quite a while, but we have plenty of other bigger plants around them, so they will have at least a bit more space and time to hopefully grow and become significant. Just a quick look at the back. Yep, the tree fern, double-headed tree fern, is already moving, pushing up new leaves, which is a great news. Here we had Yucca decipiens, which unfortunately the trunk was rotting quite badly. So what we did is we removed the trunk and left the little pup here, which hopefully now will use the root system of the mother and it will grow quite quickly. We also try to save the upper part of the trunk above the rod. We cut it to a healthy tissue and we put some root powder and so on, and we put it somewhere in recovery. I hope you can see it at the corner there, so hopefully it will reroot and start growing in time. We also lost the big buttia cross of Yatai eriosfata here. So what we did was to take one of the cramped palms in the front garden, which was really very close to the olive tree and other plants there. So we just removed this buttia odorata here, and yeah, we replaced it with that. I'm glad to see that the big leaf magnolia is beginning to push up the big leaves. Here is also the Trichocarpus princeps hybrid, which is looking quite nice. And truth to be told, one of the things that has happened when we lost some plants, and also what we did quite recently, was the annual trim. So I love the look of the annual trim after the annual trim, because it is a little bit less lush but you actually get to see some plants towards the back that you kind of don't see when there are too many leaves. So yeah, that's another look which I love. The big Jubber here, we trimmed it as I said, but it has no problems at all. Now I can see more of a trunk and more of the other plants in the background. Buttia archery here, that spear put still has some leaves, so we decided to give it a chance and wait for it to recover. It doesn't seem to have moved a lot, but it hasn't deteriorated, it hasn't gotten worse too. So that gives me hope that slowly it will recover and we won't lose it too. Here we had Yucca Turei, which unfortunately died. No sign of life in it. So what we did was to move Yucca Thompsoniana, that was really not seeing a lot of sun, and it was very close to the masonry barbecue over there behind it really. So we moved it to a more prominent location, and since then it's beginning to grow much faster than we've seen it grow. No surprise really. If you give a yucca some sun, it will start grow faster. This is the remaining trunk of our cordyline Turbay Dazor. Nothing is happening still there. I don't think anything will happen from this trunk because it's not gonna be it. What we are hoping to happen is that from ground level we will have new pups coming up. The same with the cordyline Pink Passion in the pond. So far no movement in none of the cordylines, but something similar happened to another cordyline of ours before. It has happened in the pond to the pink cordyline, but also to this chocolate mint. As you can see, here is the old stump, and we have actually now two new ones appearing next to it. And I don't know, because maybe they were under the cover other plants, or who knows. But anyway, they seem to be unaffected by the winter. So the new ones, the small ones, have survived what the big ones didn't. And I was thinking that these varieties less tolerant to bad conditions, but sometimes it's luck. So yeah, I'm glad we have those two, and I'm waiting for the others. Here we have the stump of the dead Furcrea Parmentieri. Unfortunately, this one is already dead. Let me see. Yep, this is the Siccus revoluta that was in the front row of the garden, but unfortunately suffered badly. So I really hope that it likes its new place. And the trunk looks solid, and even the rot around the middle here has kind of died off, so it's dried off, I should probably say. I don't know, but anyway, it does not look too bad, and it looks alive, and I'm hoping for a new flush this year, if not next year. Here we put one of the heads of our huge Yucca Gloriosa. I believe it's a hybrid of Gloriosa. So what we did was cut one of the heads, again some root powder, put it in the ground. I know a lot of people would say put it in a special compost, in a pot, and give it a lot of TLC and so on and so forth, and that is probably the better solution. But we have found them to be pretty resilient, and they start to root themselves even in the ground under the right conditions. So we prepared the soil a bit and put it in there, plenty of sun as you can see at the moment. So it's beginning to move a bit, which is great news. Here we have our biggest bananas. We had, I should say, the two big stumps here. Again, like everywhere else we had bananas, we have those pups, and this pup is romping away already once the weather began to warm up, which has really happened in the last week. It's been endless wet and dreary spring for us, which hasn't helped at all. And I'm getting to the, I believe, well, they're not the last two, but some of the last, so the ones that were the most labor intensive. So this was the big Washingtonia robusta. Again, I try to keep, there was one leaf that was green, so I try not to cut it down, not to lose this leaf, to give it a chance to grow back, but it was rotting really badly. So at the end we decided to cut it down, and this was maybe, I don't know, a few weeks ago, and it has started growing again since then. But what has happened is, as I said, the weather wasn't really nice. It was still very wet, there wasn't much sun, so unfortunately the rot has seemed to continue, aided by, I believe, some slugs and snails discovering it and going for it. We put pellets around it, and even we tried to repel them, but as you can see, yesterday I had to cut it once again, because it was beginning to get like a hole in the middle, because that's where they're going to feed themselves and eat it. And yesterday I cut it, and this morning, look, another two holes. So I'm not sure if we will be able to save this one because it's been uphill struggle. My only hope is strong sun and drier conditions, and it's a fast growing for a palm, so hopefully it will start growing and it will get to a point where it outgrows the damage, both from rotting and from the insects and the slugs and all that. So there were plenty of flies here, so it's very difficult. It's outdoors and we're doing what we can, but I'm not sure this one will make it. Similar story with this stump of Butia yatai. It was actually already in the green bin. I was told that there is a chance that it is alive, so I cut it. I got to a live tissue and it started growing, but again cool weather, cold weather, rain, slugs, snails, rot, re-rotting I believe, since it had the initial rot. So we moved it here. There is a lot of sun and it started growing again, but again something started to eat the middle of it, so I had to, and it started rotting once again, so I had to cut it yesterday once again to see a little bit, to remove the rotting tissue. So we will see. The chances are not great, but we live in hope. Our Tetrapanax rex haven't really moved at all, so my wife decided some over enthusiastically I would say, to cut down the trunk to get to a live tissue. I think she went a bit too much, so she just put a couple of those cuttings in the ground with the hope they may root. We don't have any pups appearing, like we can see a lot of people already have pups for the Tetrapanaxes. We don't have any, and the main stem doesn't move, so we may have lost it, but you never know. Again, the weather was still cool maybe a week ago, so now it's beginning to get a bit more like May, so hopefully give it another month, we will get some pleasant surprises. In conclusion, we still love how our garden looks, and after the heavy heat we took this winter, I think it was the best solution to go and use as much of the plants that we already have, rather than go and buy new ones. It was overcrowded, there is no going about around it. So now giving them new places and using their pups and so on, as you can see, and with the really hardy frame of plants that we do have, we still keep the tropical feel and look of the garden, while not going and spending silly money for new specimen plants. A lot of our plants, even the big ones that we lost, we have bought the small ones and we have grown them to be big and to be nice. So when you see embark on a project, I would put it like that, with a small plant like the pup of the big Eucharostrata over there, we have the benefit of the experience of seeing the changes that can happen in that time. If it likes it and if it establishes itself, it can become really nice. Plus we We love seeing plants in their different stages of development. Plus it actually, for us, adds to the fullness of the garden when you have something huge like the flowering cordyline there, all the heads flowering this year, and the big Italian cypresses, and then still big but slightly smaller like the Trachycarpus fortunei, or this one here, the Wagnerianus, and then you have those, the big Buteo odorata and the big Chamaerops humilis, and then you have a little bit smaller, so you kind of at every level of eyesight you can see something, and if they were kind of all big they will be preventing you from seeing them. Well, at least some of them won't be visible. As I mentioned, even after the trim, even after we lose some leaves and it's not looking as lush as before, it is still quite nice because I get to see the ones at the back. So yeah guys, I hope you will find this helpful, and I hope this will lift a little bit of the gloom that some of you are experiencing at the moment. Believe me, I know the feeling. But yeah, we keep going. The plants will hopefully keep growing, and bit by bit, not going overboard, we'll keep maybe improving the garden still further. So yeah, have a great weekend and speak to you later.